Good morning, fourth grade. Today we are going to work on adding fractional parts of 10 and 100. And this is going to require us to recall the work that we have done in the past week, working in our tens place and our hundredths place in our decimals and our fractions. So the first example you're going to see here has decimals. And then the second example problem I'm going to show has fractions. And we will learn how to do both using our tenths and hundredths place. As we did earlier this week, we worked on fractions and decimals and how they relate with hundredths and tenths. So my first problem is saying we're going to find the sum of 55 cents and 23 cents. Now, if I were to look at that as a decimal, I would read this as 0 and 55 hundredths because I have the number 55 and it ends in the second place value to the right, which is the hundredths place value. And I'm going to add it to 0 and 23 hundredths because I have 23 and it ends in the hundredths place value, the second place value to the right of the decimal. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite both of my numbers as fractions. So as I said, I know that I have 55 hundredths, so I'm going to put 55 as my numerator and over 100. Now I'm going to be adding that to 23 hundredths. Now again, remember the way that we write our decimals as a fraction is we take our number and it becomes our numerator and our denominator is the place value it is in. So because both numbers in the hundredth place value, it will be 55 hundredths plus 23 hundredths. Then I can simply add across. Now remember, when you are adding fractions, you do not add the denominator. I need my denominator to be the same in order for me to add, but I do not add my denominator. So when I add 55 and 23, I will have 78, and my denominator stays the same as 100. And now I need to rewrite this as a decimal, so 78 hundredths would be 0, because we have a 0 for our whole number, and 78 ending in my hundredths place value. Now I'm going to put a dollar sign in front as well because we are talking about money in this situation. So for this example, they were both in hundredths. It worked out perfect. But let's say it was maybe 5/10 plus 23 hundredths. Now I can't add these numbers because my denominators are not the same. So what I would have to do is I would have to change 5/10 to hundredths. I would have to change it. So I would do 5 over 10, 5/10. I would multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 10. Now the reason I'm multiplying them both by 10 is because I need my denominator to equal 100 so I can add, so I have the same denominator. Now I know 10 times 10 equals 100, and whenever we do to the denominator, we must do to the numerator. So my new fraction, written as a hundredth, would be 50 hundredths. Oops. Then I would be able to add them because now they're both in hundredths, so it'd be 50 hundredths plus 23 hundredths now I can add them and it'll be 73 hundredths. So you're not always going to have it where it's going to be the same. And this written as a decimal, 5/10 would be 5 in my tenths place value. And that's how we would write it. So we're recalling changing our tenths to hundredths and our hundredths to tenths. And we're also recalling how to change a decimal to a fraction, how we read a decimal, how we write it as a fraction, and how we read a fraction as well.